This is Kofi Alpha Mod Quest or something like that. The title's quite odd. We're on PC, so this is an interesting sort of narrative-driven RPG with some strategy elements to it. So this is a few hours into the game. I thought this was a pretty good spot to show things off. Basically, you're given these free roam situations where you're able to kind of explore and look around, and then you actually get back into the quest and you kind of see the map layout. It doesn't seem large, but there's actually quite a number of hours to the design of this one. So you also get troops, you get a few main troops, and then you get some secondary ones. And then you're kind of using them and placing them places during combat, and there's the motivation system, which we can't use now because we're in the free roam open world. But then we got inventory, and there's like a bank so you can put your coins, and then there's a shop so you can buy stuff. And this is just kind of like our main base of operations. So we're gonna actually, I guess we're walking this way, and we're just gonna walk over there. So open world area does offer, I was assuming there'd be like some, yeah, there's some like combat type opportunities. So you gotta get a little bit of a quick glimpse of the combat, but I'm hoping to show off a little bit more of that during regular gameplay. Just one of the overworld beasts, and this is like one of the starter areas, so it's kind of ridiculously easy, obviously. But once you get into the combat, it's interesting. So it kind of makes fun of gaming in general and RPGs and your main character. Right here, you know, he's got a really relaxed sort of attitude to things. Now, I do have a few issues with the game. I did notice that some of the translations aren't really done well. For the whole game, I thought they were literally called mercenaries, but I think they mean mercenaries. And I started to notice that as some of the translations weren't quite done in the game, and I noticed that some of the other things are wrong. Like, they keep calling this particular character a cracker, when I'm pretty sure they mean a hacker, because that's like what a lot of the game is. Now, I may be wrong there, but just because I've seen some spelling mistakes, I do think there are some translation issues. It doesn't necessarily take away from things, but I just want to kind of, you know, let you be known of that. Also, the character pathing is really awful sometimes, like agonizingly bad. I've had characters, so there's this mole creature, mole character you have, and the mole character will dig holes. Your other characters seem to want to default to go down holes, which can be a bit annoying, which it kills them to go down the holes. So if this guy, Chai, dies at any point during a mission, you have to restart the entire mission. It's not too bad going through it a second time because some things are adjusted, but it's still, you know, quite a pain in the ass to have to deal with. And it's just kind of like, it's frustrating sometimes because the characters will like walk off a cliff, or they'll walk over things, or they'll get stuck places. So a little bit annoying, quite honestly. And there are side quests, so you can go with her and buy your pal a weapon. So what we're doing here is apparently attacking that. I thought that was a talk thing, but we're trying to get details in regards to what is going on here. See, we're like sort of noobs, and I'm thinking we might actually have to go and do this side quest. So there's other buildings you can go into, and there's different areas. As you can see on the bottom here, we've got like a map segment kind of set up. So that's another thing with the game, is it doesn't necessarily tell you what you're doing or like what your main mission is. So here is the instructors gathered some of the strongest mercenaries. So that's where I think it might be mercenaries. I'm not quite sure, but anyways, yeah, and it's just kind of like a default thing. Infiltrate the camp and get all the information you can, but play it cool. And I've already, like, you know, talked to the main guy and chatted up some of the people, so it's a little bit odd. So I don't necessarily know if I'm supposed to be doing like a particular quest or anything like that, but we're gonna keep looking around. Mount Ambush. Oh wow. So maybe we might take a look over here. So visually, I quite like the look, the aesthetics. I think it's a really lovely looking title. I mean, the detail in the characters is quite nice. It looks good. There's a nice aesthetic to the world too, as you notice the characters kind of when you move through the plants here. You can see that it's like moving. So there's a nice like reactions to what's going on, and I think that's quite cool. Where are we, by the way? I don't like how you have to like open up, like you have to pause and go to the notebook thing to kind of see where you are. So that's where we're headed. And this would be like the cave section, which I don't necessarily think we should go to. Then there's this back village, and you'd be able to check out your house because you've got your pal, the slime, which is a very sarcastic sort of lazy pal that you have. And they have this like weird thing, you go and like play Pong, which is a bit different. That was a little bit weird. So there's some things that kind of take away from the pacing of the narrative. Oh, what's going on? I think they accidentally went back the other way. That's what I'm saying, like I didn't click anything. But anyways, pacing wise, some things are weird in this because they kind of slow down the game a bit. And I did find some of the difficulty to be a little bit frustrating, so I did knock it down to easy, because there's times where you're like fighting in these large groups and then your whole team's dead and you kind of you fail, and then you have to come back, but then you're basically just getting screwed over because you have like no chance to fight back. You know, you don't have time to spawn on the enemies. And that's one element that kind of bothers me a bit, is the fact that you don't necessarily get a setup in terms of being able to manage your troops. Now the game is based on, you know, kind of management of your squad. So we're summoning our team here, and you can see like we've got these archers and everything like that. We can group them together, and we can put out our little warriors here. We got our main squad, and they've all got personalities, some of the main ones, everything like that. And then our team here. So I really love the visual details, and you can get like a ton of characters on the screen. Like you can just stack like 30 troops or something like that. It gets quite ridiculous, and I love that. But you don't really get the time to manage things because the combat is very fast paced. But you can see how these characters, they have like abilities, like you can summon a couple toads. Where are the toads at? Are they like to the side here? Oh, there they go. So yeah, you got the toads. Kind of fun things, but you know, even he's got like some abilities, but you don't have time to really unleash them when you're in the middle of the battle, as you... And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, because usually you're fighting like a number of characters. Dark tunnels.
I don't even know why.
Yeah, but you can see like it's just kind of like during combat, you know, you're not able to really get a chance to use these abilities. You can see there on the side, or use the extra abilities on the right side. And it kind of gets like a little bit frustrating because maybe it should have been paced a little bit different, or just command style been done a little bit more for automation, because you get a lot of troops fighting and you don't necessarily get a lot of a chance to actually get these troops, you know, set up properly in a good way to do things. Did he die? No, he just kind of fell over. Because we got our archers, and ideally you'd want to set them back here, but then you go to fight with these guys and you don't have time to defend your archers in case an enemy slips by and attacks your archers. So it's kind of like, you know, just a little bit frustrating in that regard. But generally, I think it's actually a fairly well done game. I've had quite a bit of fun with it. I think it's a very neat title. Something that is definitely a little bit different. It's got a few laughs to it. I think the narrative is alright and definitely interesting. That might be my favorite part of it, actually, is the story involved here. I think there are some very interesting characters, and they do some very neat things with this one. And there are a lot of little side things that you can find, like treasure chests and stuff like that. And you might get gold or extras, and you can like smash things, and like crates might have supplies, which is really cool. So you never know what you're gonna find, and I think that's kind of cool. And I just want to give like a glimpse of the action here before we continue to kind of progress and work on the narrative. But yeah, for the most part, it does run quite well. I think it's a cool game aesthetically. I have fun playing it. I've been playing it for a number of hours. But at the same time, there are some elements to it that do get just a little bit frustrating, and it could have been a little bit more polished, or maybe even had a little bit more of like RPG depth to it in terms of like, you know, the characters and stuff like that. That's just my thoughts on it. Also, we actually do get to carry our team here. And he's just going to tell us to help out the guy at the tavern.
If you want to get, I think you...
So we might as well do that quest. Just because. And kind of showing that off. So the quests are a little bit basic. Again, you don't really get a good indication of what your goals are, so it's a little bit more open-ended in that regard. And I could see that being perhaps frustrating for some characters.
So, I need help. I need to mop the... You know how it is with booze. Well, I'm not moving. I'm familiar
Yeah.
with the situation.
And then they talk, but one annoying aspect, and like another one, is I have to actually like click to kind of get the lines going. Otherwise, it just kind of pauses. It doesn't keep going.
Have to be water right from there. Yes.
So we're just gonna click through this fast so we can get to this. And I guess that's the challenge we're doing. So now we have to go and get water for this. Water for the map. Your quest has been activated. So we're gonna keep going. So there are some sort of like hotkey setups in this one. So you'll notice that in a sec here when I wave over the right hand side. So you see like B and G, and I can select everyone and get everybody going. So I think that's a nice aspect. And then we're gonna check out our notebook to kind of see what we want to do with this quest. Water for the mop. Horatio needs to mop. You'll find this by taking the northeast route and then crossing the Arachnid Tunnel. Oh my god, that's so dangerous. Let's go check out the main town. Yeah, it's kind of a cool town. Actually, does that guy have anything to say? No, he does not. Let's continue venturing out. So I kind of wanted to show it off, but I don't really want to spoil anything, if that makes sense. That's like a main goal of what I'm trying to do here. And I know it's not necessarily something that's action-packed, but I hope it's showing off, you know, the gameplay elements, sort of what to expect in it, and at least a basic style for what you're doing. And we get some pretty cool looking characters, and as you could see with the troops that I could call out, I don't think I could do that in this area. Oh, we can here, but you could see like the generic kids actually. You know, we're gonna get a good selection of customized sort of characters to come in and join the fold. Except for the elves, they all look the same. They have different names, but they're all different. Alphaless, but yeah, they even make jokes about that. It's like they act like we're all the same, or I know we all look the same, but we're actually different. And it's kind of like little fun jokes there, and lots of meta in this one. Yeah, which we can move from here. Even some of the NPCs know they're NPCs. Like, I think one of them says, like, yeah, I'm not important enough to be voiced. So that's kind of a funny thing. And then you can also take the save points, and you can save, and you can fast travel to another save point, and then you can go back to where you were in the past, or a different place. So I think that's kind of like a neat extra element to it. At the same time, it does take a while to actually kind of get to some places. Well, not a while, but you get the sense. What I'm saying is you actually have to go to different locations and travel, and that takes a little bit of time, unless you use a fast travel point to just particular locations and save areas within the game. This is like a main town section, but I think the main trader kind of got up and left, so he's out of town. And then if you go this way, it's like the mage guy's old house and everything like that. So we're just gonna go back, and I think we're gonna about wrap that up. I hope you enjoyed this look at the game and got just a little bit of context into some of the mechanics and how you play the game, while not necessarily seeing a lot of action because we aren't in the middle of a boss fight. But you know, that's kind of how it goes. I also don't really want to spoil elements of the game, and I think this is a calm look at it while not particularly ruining anything important in the experience.
Characters in danger.
Let's kick that witch. Do I?
Yes? What are we playing?
Ready to shoot! Damn brat! Wait.
Me?
Yeah.
Thank God. She looked strong.
Thank you. You guys are. She didn't get tired, no matter. It was traumatic. It was terrible. It was. I get it. So, is it a different fee for a different situation?
Really?
Let's talk later.
Not that. I meant, forget it.
Wait a minute, you.
What?
Brothers, look at his bottle. Yeah. He's got the thing and. Man,
Hold on. Have you?
it's. Wakame was sprayed.
I don't on the
Wakame is. But it. And now.
broken.
That... Something... I might.
Really? That would be. That.
Where did you?
Our town.